If you're setting up Zigbee and Home Assistant, you've probably encountered this point. Do I choose Zigbee Home Automation or do I choose Zigbee2MQTT? Do I choose this adapter or that adapter? And why do all the tutorials seem to do it just a little bit differently? I've tested the main setups, different adapters with Zigbee Home Automation or Zigbee2MQTT, and the differences matter more than you might think. So today I'll show you what you should choose, why it matters, and how to get it set up step by step so that way you don't have to guess. Before we touch Home Assistant, you need a good coordinator to get your network set up. That's like your hub that all your Zigbee devices talk to. And if you just want the short answer, most people should get started with the Sonoff USB stick. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to follow along. This is the budget pick, and quite honestly, this is good for most people to get started with. There are other Zigbee coordinators out there, like the Home Assistant ZBT2, SLZB06, or the AOTech ZStick10 Pro. Now, there's nothing wrong with those, but the Sonoff is the best bang for the buck when someone's just getting started with Zigbee. The SLZB06 is pretty awesome though, I gotta say. If you're interested in like a real world comparison between them all, just let me know in the comments. There's actually two versions of these that look really similar, like almost identical. There's an older version, which is the ZBDongle-E. That one has a Texas Instruments chip inside. The newer one, which is this one, is the ZBDongle-E, and that one has a Silicon Labs chip inside. Knowing which one you have affects your setup steps later on when you're actually putting things together. One more thing, it's a good idea not to necessarily plug this directly into a USB 3 port on your Home Assistant instance or wherever you're using this, and to instead use a small USB extension cable instead. USB interference can kind of be one of those silent killers when it comes to troubleshooting. It's difficult to tell when something's not working if it's related to interference. And so using a USB hub or an extension cable or something like that is cheap insurance to prevent any potential interference issues that you might accidentally encounter. And so this next thing pretty much determines your entire Zigbee experience. Should you choose Zigbee Home Automation or should you choose Zigbee2MQTT? So basically Zigbee Home Automation, or ZHA for short, is built straight into Home Assistant. There's no extra installations, there's no extra setup, it just works. Zigbee2MQTT has a full dashboard and full device control. It supports more devices, it's updated faster, so that lets you have access to the features on your device sooner than if you had used Zigbee Home Automation. Zigbee2MQTT also has firmware updates for an insane amount of devices. Technically, ZHA also has firmware updates, but it's for a very limited vendor list that it can do firmware updates for. Zigbee2MQTT has way more vendors that it supports firmware updates for compared to ZHA. And honestly, the UI is just nicer. It just looks better, and there's way more options. Now, I actually started with Zigbee Home Automation years ago when I was getting my smart home set up. But along the way, I just outgrew Zigbee Home Automation, and I started using Zigbee2MQTT, and I've never looked back. And so that's what we're going to be setting up today. So before we install Zigbee2MQTT, there's one quick thing we got to get set up first, and that is MQTT. That's the thing that allows Zigbee2MQTT, hence the name, to talk to Home Assistant. It's a quick install from the App Store. I've done a video on that previously, and I'll link it down below. And so one quick thing before we get started that could save you a lot of headaches later on is that when you're using the Sonoff, which is what we're going to be using today, make sure that the firmware is up to date before you get started. You basically plug it into your computer, you use the official tool on the Sonoff website, and then you flash the latest Zigbee version. It takes like a minute or something. And it's super simple, and it can kind of save you going down like a 6-hour troubleshooting rabbit hole on Saturday, which I definitely may or may not have had experience in. You always want to make sure things are up to date when you get started. That way things start off fresh and clean, and you're not already trying to play catch up before you've even started. So once that's done, go ahead and plug it into Home Assistant with your extension cable or hub, and then you should be good to go in that regard. All right, so now we can install Zigbee2MQTT. You'll go to the App Store inside Home Assistant, and you'll search for Zigbee2MQTT, but it won't show up. That's because Zigbee2MQTT is a separate project, and so we need to add that project's repository to Home Assistant first. Then we can install it. So you'll go to the community repo first. The URL's in the description if you need it. You just copy and paste it into that repositories box, and then you add it. And then once you do, then you can go to the search box and search for Zigbee2MQTT. Go ahead and install it, but don't actually start it yet, because we need to configure a few things first. We're going to go to the serial dropdown. This will tell Zigbee2MQTT where your adapter is connected. In Home Assistant, you can go to Settings and System and Hardware, and then you'll just type Sonoff, and then you should see a device path. It's usually dev TTY USB 0, but the official answer will be there under the hardware menu, as you can see right here. So you can copy and paste that in under the serial port box. Now next is the adapter setting. This is where that chip difference that I was talking about earlier with Texas Instruments versus Silicon Labs, this is where that comes into play. Because this Sonoff uses a Silicon Labs chip, we need to type Ember in this box. Different chips have different adapters that Zigbee2MQTT uses to talk to your coordinator. And so we need to make sure that we're using the right software. So for the ZBDongle-E, this one's got Silicon Labs chip on it. So make sure you type Ember in the box there. Okay, so now you can save the configuration. You can leave the rest alone for now. You can save the configuration, and then you can check all the boxes on the app's info page and then go ahead and click start. And so when you go over to the menu, you should see a brand new setup page. You can go through some of these initial setup questions. But if you set up MQTT previously with the other guide that I linked to, then you shouldn't have to change any of these settings. And then you should see the Zigbee2MQTT dashboard. Will mean that now finally, you can connect your Zigbee devices. In Zigbee2MQTT, you'll go down there under the menu, and then you'll click the Permit Join button. You'll start seeing a timer count down. You get about 4 minutes or so to actually pair your device. For example, I'm going to be using the FP300. And so with the FP300, you just press and hold down the button for 5 seconds or so. So go ahead and factory reset it or press the join button, whatever your device has. Every device is a little bit different. And so you should see it join Zigbee2MQTT right there, as you can see on the main device menu. And so after pairing it, now you'll see it in that main dashboard area. You can see the last seen status, detailed info. It's got all of the things that you can only observe, like temperature or humidity or something of that nature. Anything and everything related to the device will be right there on that device's page. One thing I would also do, sometimes Zigbee devices will show weird characters for the name, and no one wants to refer to their motion sensor as 0x357892146. That's just kind of weird. So go ahead and change the name while you're in here, and make sure to toggle the box to update the Home Assistant entity ID. That'll make it easy to see with inside Home Assistant. Now, there's also a network map that's kind of cool. As you get more Zigbee devices and as your smart home grows, you can see how they all kind of link together. And the network map will show a couple different types of devices. One of the main things to understand is that mains powered devices, those are the ones that are like plugged into the wall, like an in-valley switch or a Zigbee bulb if it's a repeater or something of that nature. Those are all going to be mains powered devices. And then of course there's the battery operated ones like your door sensors, your humidity sensors, and so on. Those are only going to be battery powered. Those don't repeat any signals like the repeaters do. And so if you got a battery powered device that's kind of flaky, you can add a mains powered device in between the flaky device and your coordinator, and that will help relay signals back and forth between the coordinator and your flaky battery device. So now that your setup is done, the first device that you pick will matter more than you might think. I tested the Aqara FP300 versus the FP2 presence sensor, but one of them didn't perform how I expected. So check that out here to see which one is the better sensor, and I'll see you there.